Hey, welcome back. You may think that was Donald Trump, but that was a great friend of the show, John DiDomenico. And we're coming to you live from the Question Tequila Studios as we do every day, and back again to mix it up a little more. My favorite climate change advocate, Walker Bragman, joins us, and Rich Valdes, my favorite Republican candidate to take down AOC. Now, guys, we mixed it up a little bit pretty well there on climate change, but I think we had Deirdre Scaramucci on last week, and she was talking about, why Anthony has changed his position. I think the mooch is out there just looking for publicity, myself personally. But this is what he said this weekend. He's not laying off his attacks on Donald Trump.
For the most part, sadly, if you look at the last 4 or 5, going back even 5 or 6 or 7 years, for the most part, as strong as you make your background checks, they would not have stopped any of it. So it's a big problem. It's a mental problem. It's a big problem.
Okay, well, we were going to talk about background checks and guns next, but I guess we use that clip now. So, Rich, I think back and forth on this topic.
Well, and the reality is a lot of people are going to be back and forth on it because we live in a federalist system, right? So states have rights, and every state has different rules going on. So in most states, that's the deal. Jersey, good luck. Good luck buying anything, right? You can't even have more than 10 bullets in a magazine now. So there's lots of gun laws that, to me, are extra constitutional. They go outside of the Constitution. You tell me, John Tobacco, or even Walker, you tell me that the Second Amendment tells us that we have to have, it's necessary to have a well-regulated militia. And as such, they want me to have a slingshot. You tell me what type of well-regulated militia that we can have or regulate with a handgun and a shotgun.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up the Second Amendment because the Second Amendment was never actually meant to limit these states at all. In fact, that's why we have the 14th Amendment, which made the Bill of Rights apply to the states in the first place. In fact, if you go back, some of the early First Amendment cases where there was a preacher who sued on First Amendment grounds because the state passed a law that you can't have a corpse in a church, and as a Catholic, having an open casket funeral was something that he wanted to be able to do. And the court held that the First Amendment and the rest of the Bill of Rights did not apply to the states, and that it was crazy that he even thought that. And so, the entire gun rights dilemma that we have now, or the legal framework that we have for guns now, comes out of the Heller decision, DC versus Heller, in which Justice Antonin Scalia famously wrote an opinion based on originalist principles, holding that the Second Amendment prohibited the city of Washington district of Washington D.C. from implementing a handgun ban, which is patently ridiculous on its face because, as we were just talking about, the Bill of Rights did not apply to the states. Frankly, the extra constitutional argument, I don't buy it. The words just mean what they say, and arms is very broad. It could mean anything. We sell arms to Saudi Arabia, but do we really think that your average Joe should be able to own an F-15 fighter jet? Probably not.
That depends who you ask.
Yeah, but
again, if I'm talking about a well-regulated militia and the whole purpose for having such militia, right? I'm your neighbor, you and me. We live on Staten Island, let's say, and all of a sudden, what's his name? De Blasio decides to get crazy, and he wants to do something that we believe is outside of the norms. What recourse do we have other than our right to guns? We're going to pull out our pea shooters when he's got cops with M1s?
So again, the framers never envisioned the state as having the potential for tyranny, like a state, like New York. I
think that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. The framers exist because of tyranny. The framers exist because of King George.
The language of the Second Amendment is very clear. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the protection of the free state, literally the state, against the federal government. So they never envisioned that the state would be a danger because it's responsive to the people who elect the state representatives, but the federal government they saw as an issue.
That's fine. It's the same argument.
But today, we don't view the states as any any more democratic than we do our federal government. We're all inundated with money and whatever. And frankly, we have shootings. We have 30,000 gun deaths a year, and we have people who are afraid to go to public places because of mass shootings. I just read a study that a third of Americans are afraid to go to public places. We can't deal with a national crisis because of some individuals think that they have a constitutional right, which they frankly don't understand.
I think
two-thirds of
Americans, I think they should buy guns, John.
Yeah, well,
They'd be less afraid.
Two-thirds of Americans say that they get anxiety from going to buy a new car at a car dealership too. So that doesn't mean we should eliminate car dealerships.
We have 30,000 people a year who die from guns.
I'm with you. I'm with you. There's got to be something.
We can't do anything about that. The idea that we can't implement even a background check.
Where does the idea that the government is supposed to be able to control any type of crazy person?
You're running for federal office.
Yeah, I would never say, citizens, I can stop mental illness.
But you can stop the access of a mentally ill person from buying a deadly weapon. The means of human destruction have never been more available.
If I jump in a minivan and run somebody over, that's okay. But if I jump in a Hummer because it's designed on a Humvee, a military-styled vehicle, then all of a sudden it's something. It's kind of like the argument versus a shotgun versus an AR-15. The whole thing is asinine.
What? You can cause just as much damage with a minivan as you can with a Hummer, but with an AR-15 versus a shotgun, you can hit far more people with an AR-15 than you can a shotgun.
I would disagree.
Well, then you need to go shooting and reload a shotgun versus reloading an AR-15.
You can shoot with 2 shots on a shotgun.
Yeah.
You can hit a way wider variety than you can.
Sure, if you're
probably
shooting,
not with deadly force.
Yeah,
but,
if you're shooting bird shot, sure. But if you want to shoot people with slugs, if you want to inflict fatal damage, you're going to need a gun that can reload.
Be limited to only having a shotgun or a handgun.
All right, I'm going to have to cut it. I'm going to have to cut it off there. Amazing tyrannical debate. We usually have on Walker with Jaden Horn, but Rich Valdes and Walker, unbelievable debate also. We didn't even get to our mooch topic. Stay right there. Liquid Lunch is coming back right after this.